In this lesson, we will learn about the inspection and adjustment of valve clearance. Diesel engines, due to their high torque, low fuel consumption, and other advantages, have been widely applied in agriculture, industry, and other fields. However, the efficient operation of a diesel engine relies on the precise coordination of its components, such as the valve clearance in a diesel engine, which is crucial for ensuring engine performance. Therefore, mastering the correct methods for inspecting and adjusting the valve clearance of a diesel engine is of great importance for enhancing the overall reliability of the engine, extending its service life, and ensuring its efficient operation under various working conditions. First, let's review the content related to valve clearance. 1. What is valve clearance? How important is it? Valve clearance refers to the gap between the end face of the valve stem and the rocker arm or camshaft when the valve is closed. Proper valve clearance ensures that the valve can respond quickly and accurately to the drive of the camshaft during the opening and closing processes, thereby ensuring the intake and exhaust volumes of the engine, which in turn affects the combustion efficiency and power output of the engine. At the same time, appropriate valve clearance can also reduce wear between the valve stem and the rocker arm or camshaft, extending the life of the engine. The function of valve clearance is to prevent the valve from becoming unsealed due to elongation caused by thermal expansion. 2. Why is it necessary to inspect and adjust valve clearance? This is because wear of related parts or assembly reasons during the engine's operation can cause changes in valve clearance, thereby affecting the engine's performance. 1. If the valve clearance is too large, it will cause the valve to open late and close early, resulting in insufficient intake and a decrease in engine power. Exhaust is not clean, causing the engine to overheat. The engine will also produce valve knocking sounds when working, affecting the service life of the components. 2. If the valve clearance is too small, it causes the valve to open earlier and close later, resulting in air leakage due to poor sealing, preventing the engine from working normally. The significance of inspecting and adjusting valve clearance is shown in the slide. 3. Inspection of valve clearance, taking a 4-cylinder diesel engine as an example. 1. Before inspecting the valve clearance, ensure that the engine has been shut down and fully cooled. This is because under the hot state of the engine, components such as the valve stem and rocker arm expand due to heat, which may lead to inaccurate measurements. 2. Prepare the necessary inspection tools, ring wrench, open-end wrench, feeler gauge, screwdriver, cloth, etc. 3. Remove the valve cover and use appropriate tools to remove the valve cover, exposing components such as the valve stem and rocker arm. In this process, be careful not to damage the surrounding seals. 4. Determine the top dead center position of the first cylinder. 1. Check the flywheel timing mark. Rotate the crankshaft, and when the first cylinder is in the compression stroke, the zero scale line on the flywheel aligning with the pointer on the flywheel housing indicates the top dead center of the first cylinder compression. 2. Check the rocker arm. Lift the intake and exhaust valves of the fourth cylinder by hand, rotate the crankshaft, flywheel, and position the camshaft at its maximum lift position, that is, the valves are fully closed. When the exhaust valve rocker arm of the fourth cylinder returns to the top dead center and the intake valve rocker arm just begins to press down, it indicates the top dead center of the first cylinder compression. 5. Inspect the valve clearance. According to the engine's firing order 1 to 3 to 4 to 2 and using the method of skip fire, double fire, insert a feeler gauge into the gap between the end face of the valve stem and the rocker arm or camshaft to sequentially check the clearance of 4 closed valves. At this point, read the value on the feeler gauge as the clearance of the closed valve. Then, rotate the crankshaft clockwise for 1 full turn and check the clearance of the remaining 4 valves using the double fire, skip fire method. With this, the inspection of all 8 valves of the engine is complete. 4. Adjustment of valve clearance, taking a 4-cylinder engine as an example. Based on the inspection results, compare with relevant technical requirements and adjust the valves that do not meet these requirements. 1. Determine the top dead center position of the first cylinder compression according to the inspection method. 2. Use appropriate tools to loosen the locking nuts of the valve clearance adjustment screws. During this process, be careful not to damage the threads of the locking nuts and adjustment screws. 3. According to the engine's firing order, perform the first round of adjustments following the skip fire, double fire rule. The specific operations are as follows. Use a screwdriver to rotate the valve clearance adjustment screw, changing the size of the valve clearance by screwing in or out the adjustment screw. During the adjustment process, use a feeler gauge of the thickness that meets the technical standards to move back and forth in real time to monitor the change in valve clearance until there is a sense of drag when moving the feeler gauge back and forth. 4. After adjusting the valve clearance to the correct position, hold the adjustment screw in place with a straight screwdriver and use appropriate tools to tighten the locking nut. During the process of tightening the locking nut, be careful that the adjustment screw does not shift, ensuring that the adjustment result does not change. 5. Then rotate the crankshaft clockwise for one full turn and perform the second round of adjustments following the double fire, skip fire rule until all required valves have been adjusted. Summary: there are 4 key points to adjusting valve clearance. 5. Precautions for adjusting valve clearance. 1. When adjusting valve clearance, strictly adhere to the standard values specified by the manufacturer. The standard values of valve clearance may vary for different models and displacements of engines. 2. Valve clearance will gradually change with the use of the engine, so it should be regularly checked and adjusted. 3. When adjusting valve clearance, special tools such as feeler gauges and adjustment screws should be used. Using inappropriate tools may lead to inaccurate measurements or damage to engine components. Inspecting and adjusting the valve clearance of a diesel engine is one of the important measures to ensure engine performance and service life. By regularly checking and adjusting the valve clearance, the engine can operate in its optimal state, improving the reliability and durability of the engine. This lesson concludes here. Please complete the post-lesson questions to consolidate the knowledge learned.